increase automation, decrease cost, manage risk, then that is again where becomes a measurement criteria. So this is self-explanatory, but this is how it. First, you have the objective. The top management has the objective. Then there is a measurement. So both are compared. The deviation is given as a direction. The direction is converted to various implementable activities, and that activity is again measured. Again, it is compared. So this is how the loop operates. One. Strategic alignment. Define, maintain and validate the IT value of propositions. Align IT operation with enterprise operations. We have discussed those five aspects. One is strategic alignment, next is value delivery. Ensure that IT delivers the promised benefits against the strategy and optimizes cost. Then resource management. How to invest in IT, how to manage the various critical IT resources. Resources means all hardware, software, people, all are resources. Applications, information, infrastructure and people, these are the resources. Then next is risk management. Risk management is gain a clear understanding of the enterprise appetite for risk, understand compliance requirements, embed risk management responsibilities into the organization. The sector, some of the sectors they have got very clearly defined, like vessel norm. I was talking vessel to the banking sector. There is a very clear risk management framework. It is a part of the vessel to norm. So how the risk is to banking risk is to manage. So many frameworks are already having this risk management criteria. Then performance measurement. So basically five criteria: strategic alignment, value delivery, resource management, risk management, and the performance. Track and monitor project implementation, resource usage, process performance, and service delivery. Is it okay? I think we have already discussed this. Standards that address IT governance. COVID, ITIL, that is that we have already discussed. Yes. That we have discussed. Stakeholder, who are the drivers? One is stakeholder. First is stakeholders needs. What are the drivers of COVID-5? Major drivers. One is stakeholders needs. Stakeholder is basically, if you say in a company, there may be stakeholder in the form of shareholders. The government is the stakeholder. The shareholders are the stakeholders. So whoever is concerned about the organization, they are the stakeholders. Increasing dependency on external parties. This is major driver. Then increase the information use. The last is value creation through IT. These are the major drivers. 5 basic principles and 7 enablers. It includes extensive guidance on enablers for governance and management of enterprise IT. So COVID-5 is, as I told, it's end to end. It covers everything. Every aspect of it is covered. It makes the involvement, responsibilities and accountabilities of business stakeholders in the use of IT more explicit and transparent. So who are the 5 the principles are? What are the 5 principles? Meeting stakeholder needs, covering the enterprise end to end, applying a single integrated approach, enabling a holistic approach, separating governance from management. This is one aspect, is the last one I would like to discuss. So many corporate frauds, they find that it is basically the governance and management is not separated. So there is a interference from top management on day-to-day management, or the management, sometimes management assumes the responsibility of top management or the board of directors. So governance primarily in the company setup, it is called board of directors, but in government setup, it is the maybe the secretary, maybe the minister, and the top people, those who drive it. So there has to be separation. Basically, one is providing direction, monitoring, and the other one is executing the direction. Then this is basically the 5 COVID principles. Deals with objectives like value delivery. What is the governance process? Like any government department, it's also in the company also same thing. As I told, it is applicable to private, public, government, all kinds of institutions, small, medium, large, any size of organization, COVID is applicable. So governance processes are deals with objectives like value delivery, risk and resource optimization. Thus, we are summarizing. Then ensure stakeholder needs are evaluated to determine enterprise's objectives. Evaluate strategic options, provide direction to IT and monitor the outcome. So management process, one is governance process. Now what is management process? You have to plan the activities, you have to build, then you have to run and monitor. That is aligned with the direction set by the governance body, that is top board of directors or the top executive of the organization. Whatever that the direction gives, the management, how it is executed. This we have already discussed, key areas, what the governance setup does. There is a business need, there is a governance, top governance. They will direct, they will monitor, and they will evaluate. And they take the feedback from the management. What are the activities of management? Plan, build, run, and monitor. At the stakeholder driver, we have got technology and environment. Then the stakeholder needs. Stakeholder is the people, those who are, if you, this is basically, the company setup. So the framework is primarily devised for the company setup, where stakeholders can be the shareholders, maybe sometimes those who are giving the loan, government, they are the stakeholders. So if the stakeholder needs, then it is translated to enterprise goal. Mechanism to translate stakeholder needs into specific actionable and customized. Because stakeholder needs, they are, we can say primarily, we can say they are the owner of the organization. In the government organization, the government itself is the owner of the organization. So what is the direction? So how it is translated and to be actionable point. First is enterprise goal, that is government goal, IT related goal, enabler, setting specific goals for every level of the entity. They are called the goal enablers. What can be the goal of the organization? High profit, return on investment. If it is a company, this is primarily the goal. If it is a government, the delivery of the governance in a better way, in a faster way, in a convenient way, that can be the portfolio of competitive products. It's a company scenario, customer service. Government, we can say it is customer service. Fast response to changing business needs. Best process functionality. Yes, enterprise goal can be productivity, staff productivity is to be improved. Motivated and skilled personnel. No legal trouble, better to comply. This is what I know. When you are operating in a setup, there can be legal problems. So IT goals are similar. It is also the mapping of the business goals. IT support core business deliverables, commitments of executive management to IT related decisions, value for money in IT investment. These are basically, you can go through it. So actually, I think I have to stop here because I feel the detailed slides are there. If you have more interest we may take, we can discuss the things further, because it's a very big subject. The topic is a very big subject. So at this stage, I would request you to have some kind of appreciation of COVID, how management uses that COVID framework. I had prepared some slides, but the original presentation that is used in my place is roughly having 105 slides. I will give that complete one. So those who take interest in specific areas, they can go through it, or if you have any queries, we can discuss. So we are discussing it as a part of standards, regulations, so there is no need to be very specific about the COVID per se. Would you like to be covered extensively? Topic, madam, what do you think? I'm not very sure about it. Madam, what do you think? I mean, we should cover extensively.
I think maybe too many details will get them confused because it's very specific to the framework.
Yes,
itself.
yes, yes.
So as part of our training course, I think it's sufficient that
It's
you
sufficient.
provided already.
Actually, the details lower level, I think it is having 37 processes and roughly 210 detail things. So discussing is, I mean, every activity they have detail what to do. So every activity, if you comply, then you are COVID compliant, and more or less your activities will go on smooth. So it's a primarily concern of the management, not the concern of the auditor. But if you are using a COVID framework, like here I will tell, we audit COVID framework. One of our big organizations we audited, they said, I am not COVID compliant. Why are you auditing as per COVID standards? So we had a little inconvenience to tell them, we are seeing this is the best practice. Then they said, this is not the best. So there are also other things, like what we follow, this is the best. So if your organization is COVID compliant, then it is good that you follow as per the full standard. And better to have our own standard. So what you say at this stage, I mean, these are, so many slides are there, I have given it to you. Maybe sometime again, towards the end, again we will like to cover it, because maybe half an hour again we will discuss this. Okay? So that's about regulation standards. You would like to- they can move from the to standards. So we
It's
can
standards for the.
management related activity. Yes, they can. It is a US standard. It's not exactly organization is US. But all over the world, professionals sat together and they say it is the ideal way to writing. So they are writing. So we have a framework. So we will not top management.
In this session, we will discuss about e-governance, and after completing the slides of e-governance, we will discuss a audit report related to e-governance, which was conducted in recent years. Going by the definition, what is e-governance? E-governance refers to the delivery of government services electronically. Like in governance, we provide the services, all the services to citizens, publics. In e-governance, the same services are provided through using the information and communication technology. These are the different possible kinds in the e-governance. Government itself, G2G. Whatever the activity is done in the government department itself, it comes in the category. G2E, private sectors, G2B, citizenship, G2C. These are the prime objectives of e-governance. Better service delivery to citizens, improved services for business in private and public sector, transparency and responsiveness in the functioning, empower citizens through access to information, efficient and effective government working. All the government services are for the service delivery to citizens, but using the ICT, information and communication technology, it becomes much more effective and much more critical to bring transparency and responsiveness in the functioning of the government. And also it is very easy to empower citizens through access to information. And also if there is sufficient controls in e-governance, it will be far more efficient and effective. Here comes again the IT governance. IT governance is the starting point, and it will ensure that the e-governance services are match the best value cost. It is aligned with aligned IT with business goals. It is secure. All the IT applications are running. Proper chain management is there. It is managing the complexity, and also it is matching all the legal and regulatory compliance. IT governance ensures that there are agreed objectives for IT good management controls in place and effective monitoring of performance. in almost all the audit of e-governance project, it has been seen that the effectiveness of these services depend on the initial part of the implementation, when the proper planning and the proper monitoring is done through the IT governance. IT governance showed that the agreed objectives for IT, good management controls in place, and effective monitoring of performance to keep on track and avoid unexpected outcomes. It is far more important because it has been seen that in initial part, if the services are outsourced, most of the cases e-governance services are outsourced to the various vendors. There should be a proper service level agreement. There should be clear-cut objectives. So IT governance is has paramount importance. This slide is just indicating the e-governance projects in India. In India, it was National E-Governance Program was launched in 2003, and initially there were 27 mission mode projects. Afterwards, it was enhanced to 31. So this is just the list of these e-governance projects. There are central MMPs, mission mode project, state MMPs, and integrated MMPs, which is combination of both the central and state. Central MMPs are under the purview of central government, state are with the different state governments, and there are integrated MMPs which pertains to both the categories. I think many of these services would be in Kuwait also. Like passport, I think immigration, visa, UID. Like in Kuwait, there is some identity card is issued to every citizen and resident. Likewise, in recent years, there is a provision for UID, unique identification number in India. So it is widely used for implementing of various social sector schemes. There are various state MMPs and integrated MMPs. In recent years, in 2005 onwards, there were different states applied e-procurement projects, and which were audited in last 5 years. We will discuss one of the e-procurement project after completing this slide. And also there are in top place the CSC, Common Service Center. Common Service Center took place in around 2004-05 at the starting phase of the e-governance projects. Before the e-governance project were launched, there were long queues for paying the electricity bills, for the train reservation, for paying the for ration, for other purposes. So Common Service Center were opened, in which all the facilities, all the bill payment, all the activities with the different departments came to the at a nodal point. These are the weak points, challenges in implementation of e-governance. Lack of IT literacy and awareness regarding benefits of e-governance. User awareness is low, so they do not accept the change. Underutilization of existing ICT infrastructure. Attitude of government departments. Lack of coordination between government department and solution developers. Here the proper monitoring, supervision, and the proper communication with the solution developer is required. resistance to re-engineering of department processes. During the implementation of e-governance project, it is just not translating the same procedure, manual procedures into the IT procedures. For more effective e-governance project, it is required that all the processes are reconsidered and adapted as per the requirement in IT technology, in ICT environment. So, resistance to re-engineering of department processes is also a big part of the problem. Lack of infrastructure for sustaining e-governance projects on national level. These are different suggestions for success of e-governance project. Create literacy and commitment to e-governance at high level. Conduct usability surveys for assessment of existing e-governance project. It is very much important to take feedback and user survey time to time for assessing the government project. Starting with implementation of pilot projects and replicating the successful ones. Build national resource database of e-governance project. Manage and update content on government website efficiently and regularly. Do you have some kind of thing like pilot projects?
Depending on the project itself.
Yes, yes.
For everything.
In India, in India, this term is very frequently used because due to its number of districts and number of states are so high, and if the project is very costly, first it is implemented into a small area. After that, if it is successful, other IT infrastructure have been acquired and it is expanded. Manage and update content on government websites efficiently and regularly. It is an important part, and preferably in I think all the countries, all the e-services are put together into a single portal. After that, these are linked to the e-services or different e-governance services, or it is linked to other department websites. As an auditor, we have to check that these contents are updated and managed properly. These are the challenges which have to be overcome. The need for special audit skill and knowledge emerged as most important special challenge. Special audit approaches and methods for selecting audit objectives and criteria is the next challenge. There was some kind of survey was conducted, and all these feedbacks were received regarding challenges in auditing auditing e-governance. Other areas identified as challenges were gathering data and information and clear audit mandate. Sometimes it requires little bit persuasion and high-level meetings to get the audited data. I don't know what is the situation here, but in India sometimes we get audited data easily, sometimes they have to persist. E-Seva project was that was implemented in the initial phase of National E-Governance Plan in 2003. Andhra Pradesh is one of the pioneer state in India regarding information technology, and it was initiated in that state. E-Seva centers are the common service centers. These are the different offices which are in the state, Maybe in Hyderabad, which is the capital of Andhra Pradesh, there were 25 common service centers, which is e-seva centers, and these service centers were providing different services regarding electricity and telephone bills, booking of bus tickets, obtaining birth certificates, filing tax returns at any counter at any center. Also, it also facilitates collect revenue relating to various department PSUs through e-seva. So in 2005, first IT audit of e-seva was done. It was highly publicized, it became highly popular, and the report was very popular among the legislature and the department. Initially, it was through the e-seva center. After that, it was access was made available over the internet. In initial years, negligible number of transactions were being done by the citizens over the internet because the trust level was very low. So people were reluctant to use the online transaction. Afterwards, it became much and much popular. These were the audit findings, and no feasibility study was ever done. The vendor selection for project execution was not transparent. Implementation was done in hurry, so the vendor selection was not done properly through the bidding, and this was the audit finding. Access controls to the data was not appropriately maintained. There were different CSCs, common service centers, and they were having some 10 to 15 nodes in every center. Physical access to the systems and also the logical access controls were not adequate. That was the finding. Documentation relating to the IT infrastructure, including the application source code, was not available with the government. Developer did not share the source code and the data flow diagram, system design details to the government. At the starting of the project, to meet the deadlines, this aspect is often neglected. But when the contract is at the end, then this issue comes over. These are the common lack of control general controls point. Business continuity disaster recovery planning had not been done. Security consideration of transmitting the transaction data over internet encryption had not been taken into account. The software application package had many deficiencies and validation inadequacies. Actually, it was initial IT audit, initial e-governance project, and also the IT audit. It was highly appreciated. E-seva services were improved afterwards due to that IT audit. The linkage between e-seva and the backend system of the department application, which was specifically meant for a particular utility, like water charge payment or electricity bill payment, was not very strong. There was no proper integration between the e-seva system and the backend system in the different departments like electricity department and the water resource department. So the updation was not proper. This was pointed out. There were discrepancies between the payments recorded at e-seva, and this was accepted by the function department. the general statement, there appears to be apparent shift in focus in the concept of e-governance from IT automation within individual department to e-services application. In almost all the places, all the services and all the data of different department is integrated together, and all the services are being provided through a single portal. Here the IT governance comes again. Like in recent years, there were cases were found where for the same purpose, different applications were developed in few states. So it is important that all the IT related activities are monitored through a single point of source. This has led to a situation where ICT is being used for e-services application prior to IT automation in individual government departments and to integration of departmental functions. The attempt should be to integrate the front-end application with the back-end application with the different department. It is regarding value for money audit. If the value for money audit is taken, it may be taken after 3 to 5 years of time frame when the project has been matured. And we can see whether the project is actually economic, efficient and effective. These are the two components in e-governance project, or we can say two aspects or phases. One aspect covering interface with citizens, customers. Second aspect is the back-end information system. Both the aspects are equally important. It is not just that the front-end or web portal is user-friendly, all the activities are running properly. It is also very important that the database of the department is updated accordingly. Proper MIS is being created for decision making, and all the department, with the various department data is integrated. So there is no such kind of isolation of different systems. There should be an integrated decision making. In most of the cases, e-governance project is private-public joint effort, and it may contain different complex concepts like build, operate, transfer. In these cases, the most important thing is there should be proper service level agreement. Any activity where it is joint effort, the proper SLA and proper planning, proper user requirement specification and documentation is of paramount importance. Pricing of services will need to be taken into account with the dilemma for the auditor. Should the cost be borne by the government or price? If price, then at what level? It depends. These kind of things come into the picture, but it should be whether if there is a joint effort, joint project by the public-private partnership, there would be some agreement between the parties, and it is to be seen by the auditor that the terms of the service level agreement are properly followed regarding any payment to the vendor. Second is privacy of data will become a major issue in the days to come as more and more citizens start transacting online with the government. This issue will become more pertinent, particularly in cases of public-private partnerships where data is handled by the private party implementing and running the project service on behalf of the government. Here you can see that it is there's no technical aspect. It is only the governance part which has to be seen. This is the risk part of the e-governance project. E-governance projects are likely to have a propensity for cost escalation, leading to it becoming a high-cost project due to enhancement of commitment, as no government will like to call it a failure with consequent loss of face. And second one is also very important. Government desire to make it a success at the shortest possible time may also lead to it turning a blind eye to short circuiting of procedures and in some cases even constitutional provisions. So as an auditor, we have to see whether the implementation is efficient, effective, procedures have been followed, and also whether a timeline has been met. It is not easy to, in practical implementing, it is not easy to comply with all these aspects. So sometimes some lacuna happen in one or other area. That has to be pointed out in our audit report. As per requirement, some skills has to be acquired, and auditor should remain updated regarding this. Auditor should ensure that he acquires the required ICT skills, particularly of web technologies and the related privacy and security issues. Auditor's role should resemble more of a consultant, raising the right issues for further examination and immediate corrective action, a form of concurrent VFM audit, value for money audit. So we can see that in e-governance, focus is more on governance, less on E. As in ICT is just an enabler. We have to see the governance part, how good the services are provided to the public. E-governance audit must be done within a transparent framework. It can be best practices developed by Supreme Audit Institution size or an acceptable framework like COVID. If you have some IT standards within your department, you can follow the same for conducting the audit. There are other frameworks like COVID are available also. Similarly, the audit procedure must also be transparent and explained to the auditor community so that it can appreciate the efforts of the auditor. This is just the introduction of what is e-governance and auditing e-governance systems. In recent years, one of the audit will discuss the report of one of the audit, which is e-procurement. this audit was taken up in 2015. Prior to earlier, all the procurement by the different government department was done through the floating the tenders in the newspaper, receiving the bids. Afterwards, it was government ordered that all the procurement more than 5 lakh, amounting of more than 5 lakh will be done through e-procurement system. And the purpose was the unified end-to-end e-procurement solution to cover all procurement processes, preparation of estimate intents to final payment of bills to the contractor, called for project package type solutions to be customized and configured to fit the government requirements. The broad requirement published in an RFP, and based on responses and rates, SP was selected as a developer. There was one portal was built for the e-procurement, and all the requirement of various department in Karnataka state, it pertains to Karnataka state, was put in into RFP in this portal. It was developed by SP company. All tenders estimated over 5 lakh rupees, 5 lakh are to be floated through the e-procurement portal, and it was for the across departments and autonomous bodies. It was under public-private partnership, where each of the bidder RFP was floated, and each of the bidder paid some service charges for availing this e-procurement services. In 2006, a master service agreement and a project engagement definition document was signed between Government of Karnataka and HP. These were the modules in the e-procurement system. Supplier registration. First of all the vendors or bidders which wanted to apply for the bid, they have to register in the portal. There was intent management, e-tendering, contract management, catalog management. Intent management, what is the requirement of the department, various department. E-tendering was all the procedures from the RFP to the processing of the tender, final stage of the tenders processing. Contract management, which consists of the payment to the different vendors. Catalog management, different prices for the different kind of services and the items. Supplier registration module, online supplier registration, PAN number, verification and duplicate check. PAN number pertains to the number related to income tax paid by the different vendors. Renewal emails about the tenders. Intent management, integration of schedule of rates, creation of work estimates, LBT and rate analysis, technical sanction, administrative sanction, preparation of tender schedule, approval of tender schedule. This is the third module, e-tendering. Now at the portal, the NIT was notice inviting tender. Then pre-bid clarification. Before the bids last date is comes, there could be some doubts from the bidder. These clarifications are done through the pre-bid clarifications. Addendum and corrigendum to tenders. If there is time extension, it could be provided. Queries and replies. Bid submission and withdrawal of bids. Tender opening, technical evaluation, technical evaluator remarks and decisions, financial evaluation, L1 selection technique. This all was the part of the master service agreement. So effort was made to make it more and more transparent and efficient. Contract management, this is regarding the ongoing work for the different department like public works department. It keeps the watch over the ongoing work of the contractor. Letter of intent, performance guarantee, contract signing, milestones, measurement books, bill approval table. These were the objectives for introducing this e-procurement system to bring transparency, higher completion, smart governance, fearless participation, internal arbitrage, building up a database of goods, work, services, and contractors. That was the web-based application. Digital signatures were used to authenticate the different vendors. For the RFP, it has to be also digitally signed by the person who uploaded the tender, and also for all the bidders has to use a digital signature to authenticate their bids. There was provision for e-payments and refunds. Software is an intellectual property of the application service provider. So the source code of the software should not be shared by any other vendor. That was the case. These were the different kind of categories of users: bidders, departmental users in hierarchy with privileges according to delegation of powers, and the citizens. There are different kind of MIS reports are available for citizens, and also the different kind of users in bidders and departmental users category. These are the different kind of tenders. That was the audit criteria used. This is the basic information about the organization. And the application runs in the state data center by CEG, Center for E-Governance. Hardware and software of the application are property of the application service provider HP. All the procuring agencies on one hand and the supplier on the other hand are users. Project was headed by a steering committee consisting of secretaries heading the departments of the government were members. These are the initial procedure which was done by the audit team. They got acquainted with the main modules of the application, issued the project files and correspondence, minutes of the meeting. They created some tenders and bids in the training portal, analyzed the data to identify trends in tendering, supplier base, bidding pattern. They also collected the data from the different departments. Collected tendering related government orders and clarification issued from time to time and verified mapping in the system. We checked the mapping of business rules, testing the application for security issues. One of the findings was that the system was not updated timely. There was no automatic updation, and the data entry which has to be done for putting the proper stage of the tender was not done in a timely manner. So out of 2,77,140 tenders, only 285 tenders are shown as awarded. That was not possible. It was just updation was not done in the system. Reason, user department were not using the portal for completion of all tender activities. This in turn is attributed to the software not meeting their requirement. And its effect was incorrect position regarding progress of tendering activity need to fall back to user tendering officers to know the status of a tender. So the tendering officers were not updating their department data regarding the e-procurement. As per rules, evaluation report of the tender has to be published in the tender bulletin. In parallel, this evaluation report should have been made available in the portal. But that evaluation report of the different bids, different technical bids, was not put in the portal. If these details have been available on the portal, then there could be some avoidable appeals which could have saved time from the vendors and of the department. Upfront disclosure could have rendered many appeals unnecessary. Just go through the point, if you can get it. Like in a system, if there is insufficient input control, data is not entered correctly and completely, then the outcome will not be proper. There would be not proper MIS report. So in this case, the authorities or the departmental user didn't enter the district and location codes in the system. So the other users, bidders, were not able to find the related tenders in proper manner. This resulted in possibility of the tender inviting the authority not filling up this data, thereby leading to insufficient data to provide information about ongoing works or completed works in a particular district taluk. Hence, the district-wise search in the portal was not non-functional. District-wise search was not functional as this data was not captured. It is again, there was improper capture of data. While awarding the tender, it is important to capture the supplier history data. However, the same was not captured. Supplier history shown by the portal and was status was incorrect and incomplete. So the documents submitted by the contractors regarding tender capacity had to be accepted at face value. Financial turnover of the different contractor is an important part of the awarding the bids. It was found that this history of the contractor was not captured in the system, although it was important to know whether the contractor has been already awarded some other projects, and he cannot, in that case, he cannot handle the other high value projects which may be awarded to him. So, due to financial turnover details were not captured in the fields, it could not be analyzed. Only manual analysis was possible. For every tender awarded to an ineligible contractor in excess of his capacity, a deserving contractor was denied the opportunity, and government lost its chance to increase the breadth of its contractor pool. So it led to two risks: whether first, ineligible contractor was awarded and the quality of work was compromised, and also the other deserving contractor was denied the opportunity. During analysis of data, there were cases were found of the where the EMD unless money deposit was were not received or captured. As per rules, during the bidding process, bidder's identity should not have been identified. The purpose of the bidder's identity should not be disclosed prior to the date of opening of tender for free and fearless participation. And the application did not protect the identities of bidders such as name, address and phone number who were participating in the tender prior to closing of the tender. That was a major flaw in the system. All the forms has to be signed by digitally signed, but it was found that the portal allowed the user to sign the form even prior to selecting the decision, and thus the signature did not contain and bind the decision to the signer. So form permitted that the person digitally sign the form much earlier before he completes the form. Hence, all the data compiled from such forms suffered from uncertainty about message integrity and non-repudiation. But I will go through this what is digital signature, because it is important to know what is the purpose of digital signature. A digital signature is an electronic signature that can be used to authenticate the identity of the sender of a message or the signatory of a document, and to ensure that the original content of the message or document that has been sent is unchanged. The digital signature provides message authentication, message integrity, and message non-repudiation. So it ensures that it is sent by the right person, message is as it is in correct form, and the person who has digitally signed the message cannot refuse that he has not sent the message. During audit observation, it was seen that the digital signature were not appended to the communications. There were either unauthenticated plain word or portable document format files which were neither embedded with digital signatures nor accompanied by digital signatures. And as they were not accompanied by signatures, these unauthenticated documents did not bind the issuer to the documents issued. There was provision for blacklisting of contractors. During the period of audit, which was 2012 to 14, 8 contractors were blacklisted by various departments. However, in the system, these details were not captured, so there was a risk of entrusting the work to blacklisted contractors. Rules prescribe minimum tender submission windows so that sufficient time is provided for submission of tenders. In Kuwait, if you float a tender, there will be some time frame for the different categories of tenders, like 1 month, 15 days. Is it the case? Do you have any observation that the department has provided less time for bidding? There should be at least 15 days time for bidding, and they have provided only 3 days. So the competition was compromised, and so in this case, there was some certain time period has to be allotted, like 15 days or 1 month. If the work amount is like more than 1 crore, then it should be more than 1 month period. However, it was found that time window for bidding was quite less. Any reduction in time is to be specifically authorized by an authority superior to the tender inviting authority with recorded reasons. And these reasons were not recorded. More than 80% of the tenders were short-term tenders. As the reasons for resorting to short-term tendering were not consistently recorded, the objectives of transparency, increase in competition, and smart governance were adversely affected. That was the final conclusion of the report. Government not deriving full benefit of the unified e-procurement solution. The off-the-shelf e-procurement application was not adequately customized. Opportunities were not utilized fully, and inadequate testing led to incomplete supply history and incorrect management information system reports. That was all in the report, e-procurement report. Details I will provide you in email, and That was the first e-procurement report. Afterwards, other states also conducted the similar type of reports. Thank you. We have a IT audit manual which has a general e-governance checklist. We will provide it to you and you can just go through. Auditing e-governance, and this is the introduction part of the e-governance project. This is the starting checklist which can be used. After we get the initial information, we have to prepare another list, other questionnaire to get the specific details of the system. It is about the detailed plans, organizational issues. Is there a uniform direction for e-governance? What is the extent of centralization? Are the system interoperable or operatable? Operational issues. Is the project scalable? Funding. Was a cost benefit analysis done? What is the revenue sharing arrangement between the different agencies, departments involved in providing e-governance services? These are regarding the operational value. Has there been adequate capacity planning for the hardware? Is the system scalable to improve the provision of new services? If with the time there new services are required, whether it is scalable, new features could be added. And the other important part, security issues. All the data related to different departments shall lie in a centralized server. So it is important to see, are there firewalls and intrusion detection systems in place? How secure is the network? And also, what is the mechanism for identification and authentication of citizens? Other important part is business continuity plan. Is there an approved, documented and tested business continuity plan, and what is the time frame for turnaround after a disaster? Important aspect is citizen awareness and preparedness. And last one is data privacy. Does the government have a data privacy policy consistent with the legislative requirement? Is there a proper policy regarding record retention and disposal? So this list can be produced by starting the audit of e-governance project, and it is a generalized list. Afterwards, we may have some more questionnaire.